Florida, 11 a.m., Vaught Hemingway Stadium, Saturday. It's going to be fantastic. We finally got there. It is our reward. It is what we've done the last 6 months for. To see the Rebs on the field right now. Now, I know what you're saying. We should have been there 3 weeks ago. And we should have. With the 3-month delay is because of incompetence. We all realize that. We all realize that. We didn't have to be there. But that's okay. That's okay. We've seen the rest of the world playing sports for months at this point. Now it's our turn. We finally get that opportunity. And the Rebels are going to break out the Powder Blues this weekend. So that's going to be fantastic. I am very excited about that possibility. But first, let's go into a little deal where you can follow us on Twitter at @OldPositively or at the Stephen Willis. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. That's Old Positively. We have a Facebook group as well. Follow us on Twitch at Old Positively, all one word. Follow us on Discord. When you be notifications will be sent whenever we go live. Follow us on YouTube at Old Positively. Subscribe to our page. Hit the bell so you'll get notifications whenever news breaks. We're on numerous things in the podcast world. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud. I think yesterday I saw that we were on TuneIn Radio, and we're waiting for Being in Review to be on Pandora and iHeartRadio. So we're going to be all over the audio podcatchers as well. So that's pretty cool. We just need a little bit of time. That's all we need. And we're doing the audio stuff now, and that's great. But this is going to be a fully video podcast. We're waiting until next year because the season, as we've explained on this podcast, is a 10-game spring practice. And normal coverage routes will be in vain. There's a lot of journalists that are going to make themselves look uninformed and silly based off of their analysis of this game. For instance, I'll do this. Florida State lost to Georgia Tech. Okay, and all the hot takes came out and all the cliches of the same old Florida State and they're going to struggle. They're going to be bad. Mike Norvell was a mistake. Those were the takes that were coming out. But the reality is, without a spring practice and without a fall camp, that's probably 40 hours of video. So not only are the players not where they need to be, they are likely rushed out into a position that they would not be in if that film were available and the normal decision-making process would be available. Now understand that. Get that. Ole Miss and Florida are coming at about the same point. They started the same thing, conference only. I mean, it's going to be fine. I mean, Florida has 3 years. This is the third year with their coach. Their system's already in. But Lane Kiffin has a new offensive system that relies on repetition and timing a lot. And the defense is a new system that is going to be very multiple. There's going to be several 3-4s, several 4-3s. In other words, it's going to be sloppy. This is the worst case scenario for a new staff. So Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach, Sam Pittman, and Elijah Drinkwitz, they're all in this boat in the SEC. There's no getting around it. It is what it is. Now, that's the reason I say take the positives and celebrate them and ignore the negatives. That's the only way you're going to get through this football season. It's not it's not breaking down games about who lost the game. No, it's going to be about who won the game in this situation, because mistakes are going to be made. By the time that film gap is made up to where they would be in their normal decision making point, we're talking game 4, game 5, game 6. It's a serious issue, and people need to get their mind right for football. They need to get their mind right, because it will be sloppy. There will be special teams error. So, well, anyway, that's a little rant out of the way first thing in the morning. It's just, I think this football season is going to expose journalists who have spent the upwards of their entire career not trying to learn the game at high level and just talk about the game. Now all of a sudden their takes, they're not right. They're not going to fit. It's just the way it is. And people are going to try and do the same old cliches. Oh, you lost the team. Oh, defense wins championships. It's not going to work this year. You're just going to come off sounding like you don't know what you're talking about. And I get it. I totally get it. That you are no longer a reporter, and since print journalism died, now you have to get in the opinion games, but the experience has been thrown away during all those reporting games when print journalism was dying. You replaced actual knowledge of the sport with snark. Little Twitter things. Oh, no. It's just a situation where people are going to be exposed over this. They just are. And you need to listen to them and know right away that they don't know what they're talking about. That they're one of the ones being exposed. That's the whole secret to this college football season. And it is a gift to us that we will get to understand the people that know what they're talking about versus people that try to sound like they know what they're talking about. It's a big deal. Segment 1 of the book. Stick around. Ole Miss versus Florida next.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen. As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
Welcome back. Segment 2, Monday POMcast, 9/21/2020. We've hit September 21st. I've already done my exercising this morning, and it was quite chilly. It's kind of nice. Football is in the air. It's time to play the games. It is time to start this. And as you know, on this podcast, Monday is about the truth. And the first part of this show, you heard the truth. Monday is all about the truth. Now, what we're going to do over the next 5 days is kind of look into Florida and how you pull an upset against Florida, because they are good. Kyle Trask is good. They've got holes at wide receiver and running back, but they're legit. And they've had repetition, they've had timing, so all those problems don't exist. So Ole Miss is just trying to get through this, and it could be difficult, but they're trying to get through this. And now, the way Todd Grantham is on defense for Florida, and this affects our offense. I figured I'll lead with our offense because more people care about the offense than the defense. But the way Todd Grantham is on defense is he wants you to play in a 15-yard rectangle. He can rush the passer. He can charge in on the run. They're hyper aggressive on defense. And they're designed to speed up the quarterback. So offensively, if you can't run the ball, because this is a very good run-stopping defense, you're going to see a bunch of athletes out there. If you can't run the ball, which for us, that this year will be a huge problem. It really will, because our best room is our running backs room, where Henry Parrish is about sitting third place at the moment. Third string. So, they want you to play in a 15-yard rectangle. Now, the way you beat that defense is to make that a 25-yard rectangle. How do you do that? You throw the ball deep. You get in the safety's head so they can't swarm forward against the run and against short passes and do the hyper-aggressive things that they want to do. If you want an example of this, look at Ole Miss versus State in 2017. Watch that game. And what you're going to see is, like I said, hyper-aggressive defense. Now, most teams that are elite in the SEC plays man coverage. Now, that could be a problem if JRP is on the field, because man coverage means you turn the back. So you could theoretically force Florida to play zone, which they're not really comfortable doing. They're a man team. So it's just something to look at and something you can kind of get your mind around at the moment. Extending that box, extending that 15-yard box. Get out to 20 yards, get out to 25. Make those safeties have to look over their shoulder to make sure receivers aren't going down. Now, Rich Rod would have had all kinds of trouble with this defense. His offense was not made to deal with this defense. This is a combination of Kirby Smart's defense and, honestly, DJ Jerkin. It's a hyper-aggressive version of the 3-4. And they want to get after the quarterback. They want to blitz you from all different positions. There's going to be a level of confusion brought on by their defense, because you don't know who is really coming. Because since they're in a 3-4, like I said, you're essentially, when you're barking at anything, in a 5-man front, because either the outside backers or the extra defensive end, and they're coming at you. I mean, that's just the way it is. So there's an element of experience that needs to happen. We have 3 offensive linemen that are coming back. Nick Broker, Ben Brown, Royce Newman. That's both tackles and the center. So we're talking about the guard position, which is a little bit easier to learn. But we have to know where those blitzes are coming from. Their goal is to get us in long yardage and turn loose the dogs. That's the Florida defense. They're hyper aggressive. And that's okay. I mean, that's your job. That's what DJ Durkin is. That's what Chris Partridge is. It's a risk-reward defense. But you have to take the deep shots in the risk-reward. But you also have to take the right deep shot. If you put it in the wrong place, they'll pick it off and gain momentum, and it'll snowball on you. I mean, that's their defense. They've had 3 years to put it in. And they're the other one that is known as DBU. And that means they can just put their quarterbacks on an island, let the safeties flow down quickly to attack the run, and there you go. So, the imperative for this game for the Ole Miss offense is Jonathan Mingo has to have a big game. You already have Elijah Moore and the other guy, whoever wins that job, doing the 10-yard possession routes. You have the tight end that's going to play with the linebackers, and they have new linebackers, and I've said many times on this podcast that this offense is designed to torture linebackers. If you have a problem with linebackers, this offense will make it worse because it's nothing but eye candy. It's about guessing right. It's a 3-factor play where the linebacker has to see 3 different things, but they might just call one thing, and it's a quarterback run off the edge. It's designed to create false steps. It's designed to make you hesitant. It's designed to slow you down. It is designed, honestly, for a hyper-aggressive defense like Florida. It's worth looking at. It really is. And I'm just really excited for this offense versus defense matchup because both defenses are kind of high risk, high reward defenses. This matchup could be special. And you're going to see on the offense a lot of wide receiver hitches, a lot of 5-yard slot turnarounds. It's staples of the Baylor offense. You're going to see receivers kind of in the same area when they catch the ball. I mean, it's not supposed to be normal, but it is in this offense. And you're going to dance around with the jet sweep motion and linebackers having to get out and make a play with the tight end going behind them or an inside zone coming at them. There's a lot of stuff to mess with linebackers. Now, none of that matters if you can't win against the defensive line. None of that matters at all. You can try, but the SEC at its core is a line of scrimmage league. If you can at least single block a defensive lineman in the SEC, you're going to have problems. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I'm looking forward to this game because this season, it's not really important to get to a specific number of wins. I don't think. I think 5-5 would probably help. But I do think those winning games, is more important than projection. And because of that, you might see some weird things this year. That's the reason we're playing these quarterback games. That's the reason we're playing these running back games. With personnel, they're not going to talk about them. Because their goal is to win the game. Always. It's not. Again, 2021 is more important than 2020. 2022 is more important than 2021. Understand that. But don't understand it that it takes a precedence over winning. Because there are still people that are going to be prisoners in the moment on this. And you still have to win ball games. And recruits are going to go off wins and losses. They're not going to go off what it looks like. They're going to go off wins and losses. All right, when we come back, SEC lines for week 1.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
POMcast, I'm your host, Stephen Willis. Welcome back. Welcome to the first week of SEC football. We got a bunch of good stuff coming up. There's some big lines this week, but there's some good stuff too. And remember, with the sloppiness of play, it is becoming evident that it is the great equalizer. If you are a probable 2-touchdown favorite, you can easily lose that game. I figure in the win probability scale, the situation with no spring practice and no fall camp is worth 15 percentage points. So if you are at 35, you're now at 50-50. That's what I'm saying. When you are going to win 1 out of 4, if you look at the win probability, is if you're 25%, that means you would win 1 out of 4. That's what that means. If you were 50%, you would win 1 out of 2. That's what that means. Well, instead of being 1 out of 4, you're probably closer to 1 out of 2 now. That's the great equalizer that is college football being played during this pandemic. There's already been 4 or 5 upsets of multiple touchdown favorites dropping the game. Now, a lot of that is because there's been no spring practice, because there's been no fall camp. People are just guessing from last season. So there's a little bit of bringing forward last season, and there's a little bit of, going into spring practice, we thought they might have been okay, so let's just guess about it. So just understand that. We're going to do lines, we're going to have fun, but just do that. All right, lines from week 1. BetOnline AG is the company. Florida currently favored by 12 points over Ole Miss. I think that's a little high. I think I would take Ole Miss to cover that. I see Florida, if they win, by a touchdown. Yeah, with Kyle Trask and everything. Now, you just don't know with the offense and defense. Ole Miss could go out there and completely lay an egg because, again, they've had no spring, they've had no fall camp. 40 hours worth of practice video that they would normally make their personnel decisions off of are gone. So just keep that in mind. As long as I do lines, keep that in mind. I see basically a hole at the wide receiver, but Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask, I think they're going to make enough plays to win the game. I'm looking forward to it. Ole Miss in powder blue for the first time ever, so it could be a lot of fun. Next up, Kentucky at Auburn, -8. I'm going to take Auburn because I'm basically guessing. I don't know about Chad Morris on offense. I don't know how that's going to look. I think with Bo Nix, it's going to look good, but there's a chance an absolute egg is laid by Auburn because Chad Morris, he had 1 season in SMU, 2 years got fired at Arkansas, and his offense in the Auburn system. And then you look at it, the Miami system is basically doing the Nick Marshall stuff from 2013, 2014. I mean, it's fantastic run game. If you like that style offense, watch Miami because Rhett Lashley has brought that to Miami. I think Auburn is going to cover just because I don't think Kentucky has the deep threat to make that 15-yard box bigger. They have to prove to me that they can expand that. Otherwise, people are just going to come forward and guard the run. And that's all they're going to do. Those safeties are going to do what they do because they don't have to worry about over the top. Mississippi State at LSU, new coach, Mike Leach, against Ed Orgeron and everybody left. I don't think LSU is going to win by 19.5. I don't think LSU is 19.5 points better than anybody in the league at the moment. Everybody from that program left, but Mike Leach is in a first game and they're going through the spring practice. So if you're going to get one, this would be it, but I'm going to take Mississippi State to cover. Georgia at Arkansas, same thing. Sam Pittman, first year at Arkansas. Georgia, 24-point favorite. They have some quarterback issues. I think Georgia is going to win the game big, but I can't lay that many points on the road. I'm going to go with Arkansas to cover. And the same thing in this next one. Alabama versus Missouri. Elijah Drinkwitz is in the same boat. New team. No spring. No fall camp. Alabama, I'm not a fan at the moment of Mac Jones. I just think in that situation, the home team is going to cover. So take Missouri there. Vanderbilt at Texas A&M, I just don't know. Texas A&M is favored by 30. Take Vanderbilt. Just take Vanderbilt. Kellen Mond's losing all his weapons to opt-outs. The defense is losing. They're going to be sad on offense at Vandy. They're going to be pretty good on defense at Vandy. I just don't think Texas A&M is at the point where they're 30 points better than anybody. That is like 41-10 territory to cover. So I just don't think. The game of the week was Tennessee and South Carolina. South Carolina went with the Colorado State transfer as the starting quarterback. Ryan Helinski did not win the job. So that makes sense. That's a new quarterback, some familiarity with Mike Bobo, and a chance to go. And Tennessee, of course, was red hot at the end of the year. And Eric Gray is a fantastic football player. If you are not familiar with him, watch him this weekend. He has a chance to be very special, Jerry and Ely type special. He really does. And I'm going to take Tennessee to cover because I actually think Tennessee is going to be 7-3, 6-4 good, that level. South Carolina, I think, is going to be down. There's the home field advantage that is kind of non-existent. And you take that away, Tennessee all of a sudden becomes favored by 3. Otherwise, they're probably favored by 3. If South Carolina had all of its fans, it might be a pick 'em. But this is one of those games where people are just projecting off last season because nothing is really there this season. There's nothing to go off of. Everybody is quiet. And there's a lot of money to be made on these lines at the beginning of the season because there's a chance for mistakes. Now, this first week is kind of a crapshoot. So that's the reason I kind of went with the home underdogs, even though they're playing the big boys in the conference. The game of the week is probably Tennessee and South Carolina, followed closely by Kentucky and Auburn, then Florida and Ole Miss. CBS game, Mississippi State at LSU, Ole Miss and Florida at 11 a.m. on ESPN. Joe Tessitore and Greg McElroy on the call. Anyway, we will continue this tomorrow. See you then.